Hello, folks. This is JW with National LiveScan Association. Today's episode, we're going to talk about how to answer common questions from LiveScan customers or ink fingerprinting customers. So to put this back up there, I just said my name, so I'm the coolest guy around for the National LiveScan Association. So let's jump straight into it. I'm going to share with you some typical questions you're going to hear on a regular basis from customers. Some might be fair questions, some might be kind of how should I put it? Be careful how you answer certain questions. Let's leave it like that, because sometimes the question you might reply back to a particular question might end up in the result you weren't anticipating to happen, or it might cause a situation to happen that you weren't really thinking it would take place like that. So questions we start off with the first question here. Let's see here. Here we go. What do they check for on my background check? Think about that. What do they check for on my background? If this is a live stream session, leave your questions and answers here. And those for replay, share your thoughts on other questions you may have regarding things you might hear from customers or things you're afraid they might ask you, but you'll know what to say. So what do they check for on my background check? And this person calling about the blue on the telephone. A couple of things you need to consider, and please write this down. A couple of things. The first question is this person going to be your customer? Is this person calling from a different state? Or I'm in Hollywood. Okay, you think in Los Angeles, Hollywood, but they might be in Florida. So why are you trying to answer this question here? How are you going to be compensated for it? And what if you answer the question incorrectly? They're going to blame you. And what do you mean by they? Who are they? Who's going to check for it? The background check information is shared from the law enforcement agencies given to the requesting agencies or the licensing boards. And it's up to those agencies to interpolate the information they got from the government. And keep this in mind. Not everything information you get from law enforcement may be accurate. Things could have changed. You might have a report from the FBI that says one thing about a particular situation or a different result compared to the state level background check, compared to the local level county background check, or from the courthouse. So you got the courthouse, you got the local agency, you got the state report, and you got the federal report. And who's they? Who are they going to look for? Is this the person who's going to hire them, give them the job? So those contributing factors there, you don't want to commit yourself into an answer. You might know the answer from what you know about background checks, but they might be referring to a different type of they. So the best thing to do, first of all, is find out where they're calling from. Right off the bat, find out where they're calling from. If they're not near you, you know you're not going to get paid a service from them or get service from them, refer them to a place near them they should contact. So we're not in your area. I'm not sure how to answer your question. Please contact the place you're going to get fingerprinted for additional information, and or contact your requesting agency who's asking for the background check for additional information. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an expert, but you should contact the place who referred you to get the background check done and what they're looking for, and also call a place near you who's going to service you for the fingerprinting. Keep it short, sweet, and simple. And in closing, this is what I typically say. I'm sorry about that. And that's all I say in closing, and that's it. You don't want to go on a long, blown-out conversation with anybody about this subject right here. It's too deep to get into, and it will get you guys in trouble later on. You don't want that to happen. Because they're going to blame you for something that you said, or they thought they meant by saying something, and it's not worth the energy, not worth your time, especially if you're not getting paid. Okay. Another question going to be right here is like, where is my LiveScan cup? There we go. You got the big J cup right here, folks. This is LiveScan.Cafe. You got a shot of knowledge. Yeah, that's right. Don't hate. Big J cup. Next question you're going to hear from time to time. How much does a LiveScan cost? Right off the back. It's a loaded question. Some folks may be honest about it there, and you're going to tell them what you know. First thing again, where are you calling from? You don't need to give them a long, blown-out spiel about how much the price costs or the history of fingerprinting or the history of prices and stuff between the federal fees versus the state fees versus the nonprofit fees, or the case may be, versus the rolling fees. It'll take too long. You'll get them confused, and most of the time they're not going to come to you anyway. Right off the back, I'm sorry, sir. What city you calling from? Okay, that's not us. We're not near that location. You might want to call a place near to better assist you. I'm sorry about that. But, I'm sorry about that. Keep it short and move on. I'm not trying to be rude or tell you folks to be disrespectful, but this is the operation you have to run. And sometimes folks will call 20 people all day long trying to get a price check to save $2 or $3, which I understand. But if you're not going to service them, you need to invest your time wisely to the customers who you're going to service. Okay, it's not like you're trying to buy a car and save yourself all money by calling around different cities. It makes a big difference there. But if a person's a city not near you and you know you're not going to fingerprint them anyway, and say you do give them a price, X amount of dollars, they might come back and say, well, on the internet, I saw a price of only $12. How come you're so expensive? Why are you trying to rip us off? What's going on here? I don't like what you're saying. Click. That happens a lot. So versus getting yourself all twisted up over some nonsense, just share the information with them. Say, I'm not sure. This is what you should tell them. There's different government fees for different government codes. I don't have all the prices memorized. You might want to contact the place near you that's going to fingerprint you. Sorry about that. And move on. And you start to see a trend here. You want to make sure you get those questions answered quickly as possible, but don't go in detail. Because you got your phone ringing off the hook, you got customers out there trying to get fingerprinted, and you got things you got to do to stay productive, not busy. Just a few more questions. I'm not going to make this a whole blown out course, just a few points you guys should be aware of to understand how to address certain customers when they give you a call. Oh, here's a classic. What time do you close? I'm right down the street. Now, say you close at 5 o'clock in the evening, and they right down the street, and it's about a quarter till or 20 minutes till. And you tell them, we close at 5 o'clock. Click. Also, now here there's 4:58, and they're knocking on your door to get in, to get fingerprinted. Now, you got to pick up your kids, you get to shut down your operation to begin with. Got these other things you got to do. In other words, you have to be at your office in 5 minutes after closing because you got other things you have planned to get done. And this question here is a fair question from them, but did you give them the right information? What time do you close? I'm right down the street. Question number one, where are you calling from? Please find out where they're calling from. If you don't ask them where they're calling from and they right down the street, and you think, I'll be right there. I'm right down the street. And you're sitting there waiting, and you're checking your watch and you're waiting, they might not show up. And they're waiting. Well, they probably went to a location they thought they were calling to get fingerprinted at, but not your location. Or perhaps right down the street might be they stuck in LA traffic, but they have Slauson Boulevard right down the street, just a mile away or 2 miles away, right down the street. Or they might still be at home getting a cup on the juice or something like that. You just don't know. So just because they said it right down the street does not mean that they are in their car. They could be still at home. They might expect you to stay until they get there. Or they might be calling everybody around them, okay, this place is closer, I'm going to go there instead. And they might not even call you back. So a little twist here. What you going to do if a person calls you saying, I'm right down the street and you're willing to wait? What you going to do? What precautions are you going to put in place or some type of security you're going to put in place to ensure they're going to show up? What you're going to do to ensure if they don't show up, you still be compensated? Never thought about that, huh? Did we say something called like a wait fee or a special hour service or after hour special service or something like that? We have members in the association, including our office here, where people want us to wait some time if we have time to wait. But it's like they might be right down the street, 3 miles down the way, but they're stuck in traffic. Go ahead, go back to LA traffic. 3 miles down the way could cost you sometime 20, 30 minutes. 3 miles down the street. What street? The 405? Your street near your school? What street? They'll never tell you, hey, I'm on the 405 over here for Wilshire Boulevard heading towards LAX. I'm just 10 minutes, I'm just 5 miles from you. I'll be right there. And it's 4:30. Oh, that's not going to happen right there. It's not going to happen. If you don't believe me, come visit us here in LA around 4:30, 5 o'clock and get on the 405 highway around the airport area and see what happens. We invite you to come. Come get on the highway and see it, and there'll be a nice, warm welcome to Los Angeles. I promise you'll never forget that experience. Now, you might want to consider a couple of things here and write this down. You might have some type of policy in place or put one in place or service to put in place where you're willing to wait some time for X amount of time for a certain fee. Okay, sir, we have somebody here to wait with you for after hours because you know you just flown in. But there's a service fee for us to be here for after hours. And this is the fee here just for us to be here for after hours, not counting the fingerprinting fee. And if they agree to it, we recommend that you go ahead and get that payment up front versus you trying to wait till they show up. Because if you make the agreement with them and they still don't show up, you're not being productive. You didn't get paid. You're too busy hoping they show up. Once again, stay busy, stay broke. Get productive, get paid. Where we at with the time here? Okay, we're doing pretty good. Same type of question, but a different twist to it. I'm right down the street. Will you wait for me? Same type of question, but different twist. Simple yes or no. If you wait, put some tools in place where you be compensated if they show up or they don't show up. And they might be right down the street, and it happens all the time. Back in the day, sometimes we used to have people to work with us, to say, hey, I'm running a little bit late. I'm just right down the street. Can you cover for me? That man is still in bed right down the street. It's a big street. Big street. You might be in that street, but you might be 20 miles down that street. I'm quite sure people got streets near them that's that long. I'm right down the street. Will you wait from me? No, we will not wait for you. That's if somebody you're working with, of course, like that, making up that bed and get to work. But if a customer calls you, find out where they're calling from and which location are they referring to. You might say, sure, we wait for you. Be a few minutes. Sure, I'll wait for you. But you still have to find out from them which location are you referring to. And know what happens sometime? Well, then one of them just calling. Yes, so we had different locations. Which one in particular are you referring to? Then they're going to ask you, well, the one that you're at. Then they're playing games. So be very clear about where they're calling from. And if it's miles, be very specific. What time will you be at our office? Not the miles. That's not going to happen. So once you identify they're near you and they come into your location, then you decide at that point there, are you willing to wait? If so, we recommend you might have something put in place for some type of compensation for being there after hours. Or if they're running there, be there a few minutes before you close, are you going to wait? Are they going to come? Do you have a policy in place for people coming after certain hours? Some of our members have locations with appointments only. Some locations accept walk-ins. Some locations do both appointments only and walk-in. What we recommend in best practices is where you might have a policy where the last walk-in is a half hour prior to closing. Because that means in their mind, they still get there 15 minutes late before they walk in at 4:30, and now it's 4:45. You still have time to take care of the customer and close up and get out your office at a fair time. We don't recommend you try to accept walk-ins the very last moment, because sometimes those last moments might be way after closing time when they show up, and you promise them you're going to wait for them because they were right down the street. All right? Write this information down, folks. It's good information. All right. How come your prices are higher than my uncle's, the police station, the prices on the website, the place right next door to us. How come your prices are cheaper? How come your prices are higher than the place right next door to us? Right next door, they're X amount of dollars. Okay, then why don't you go there? Or they closed down 5 years ago. Or they're not fingerprinting right now because of the pandemic. Or they don't like us no more because we give them bad service. They don't like us all the time. We're too rude to them. Whatever the case may be, but you get this question sometime: how come your prices are higher than where the case may be? And you think of an answer, a reply to share with them if you choose to. And sometimes the conversations might be to more like a combative situation, or they might want you to say something very unprofessional on the line. They might be recording it to use against you. Might be somebody who's trying to start a live scan business or a fingerprint business and getting these remarks from everybody else and then use these and post them on their website. This is what you can hear when they call XYZ live scan. And they put on their website, on their social media site, just to make sure to put you in positions if you're not the one to go to. There are some people out there who do some crappy stuff like that, just trying to get you to pinch your nerve to say something that you should not be saying, or sometimes you're just speaking the truth and they try to twist it around. Or they might try to splice up your conversation to mislead the public. That happens all the time. Heck, look at the politics out there. It happens all the time. So how come your prices are higher than such and such? Share your thoughts on this one here. I have a reply for this one here, but this one you might want to think about yourself, because it might not be the situation of where you are in or the scenario that you're in. So how come your prices are higher than? And share your thoughts. Put in the comments below to let us know what would you say for a question like this. How come your prices are higher than? There's one situation, and it's the true story. How come your prices are higher than the price I see on the website where they're charging only $12 for a live scan? My reply was, where'd you see this at? Well, it was in such and such place. Can you match it up? No, we're not. So you know what? You should go to that place that you saw for a live scan for only $12. You should go there. Well, that's 50 miles away out of school, and I'm not a college student there. I understand what you're saying. Sorry about that. You want the website to schedule your appointment with. Here's our website to schedule your appointment. I continue going. So don't fall down that little hole. Just have a nice professional reply, and at the end, try to share with them how they're able to come to your location without you trying to bicker over the prices. Because don't try to play that game. It's not worth your energy and time. It's really not. But think about that. How come your prices are higher then? All right. Finally, I'm going to close this out here. How do my fingerprints look? Are my fingerprints going to go through? What do you think? You fingerprint somebody and the machine just keep beeping, beep, beep, beep. Are these good prints or the bad prints? But all they see is red or the poor scoring. And they're looking at you. Are my fingerprints going to go through? How do they look to you? Everything's going to be okay? You have to tell them the truth. If the fingerprints are whack, you can tell them your fingerprints are whack in a very certain way. You need to say something to let them know what's really going on. Don't try to make them feel good by misleading them. You could tell them the truth and still make sure they have a sense of honor and pride when they leave the office, but knowing there's a chance their fingerprints might get rejected. If you tell them your prints look good and you're too scared or you're not comfortable telling them the prints might get rejected, and the prints get rejected, they can come back to you. You told me, where's that right there? You told me that my fingerprints were good. I want my money back. They did not go through. Will my fingerprints go through? Will you think my fingerprints get rejected? Tell them the truth. I don't know. I hope not. We're doing the best we can based off the prints that you have. But if the prints have poor ridge characteristics, or the prints are worn down, tell them. There's a small chance your prints might not go through, and then give them a recourse, which you can do afterwards. It all depends on what type of system you're using for a live scan and where is it going to, if there's some type of recourse, like something like a resubmission, where they might not have to pay the second time around. But this is not the case for every type of live scan out there. So you should find out also what type of recourse they have on the system that you have for that particular entity you submitting the prints to. Or have them contact the requesting agency for clarification. But don't want to overcommit something where you don't have the final answer on. Because your machine might say it's bad prints, but the prints still might go through. Your machine might say there's good prints, but the prints might still get rejected. And it might not be your fault. Or it might be your fault because perhaps you got the fingers in the wrong square, the thumbs in the wrong squares, or the fingerprints upside down, or the case may be. You just don't know. But just be honest with them, share your thoughts, but never mislead your customer. Never at all. Never at all. Well, I'm going to keep this short, sweet, and simple. My name is J.W. Reed. I'm with the National LiveScan Association. I am the coolest person around here today. And I've shared 4 things with you folks. Be safe. Have fun. I'm trying to look down at the same time here. Let me try that again. Be safe. Have fun. Get in trouble, but don't get caught. Thank you for joining us here. We see you at the next episode from the LiveScan.Cafe. Take care, everybody. Peace.